Lotta Löfhagen-Lundberg, and I want to discuss how we can use the forest as an attraction.
I am a first-time visitor to Gotland, and what interests me is sort of like what is the most unique thing that I can only find on Gotland and nowhere else.
Man får fråga då vad jag tror att man ska
I want you to make short presentations of your groups, about like 2 minutes.
Okay, so this was the question about how international students can contribute to increased collaboration. And we got loads of ideas. Actually, they can help solve some of the identified problems. They know many languages. They can be guides. They can also help identify what would be attractive to different markets as they come from different countries and parts of the world. Maybe it's not what we here on Gotland think is attractive things, maybe other things. They also would know when in time, in the shoulder seasons perhaps, when different markets could possibly come here. They can help translate websites, etc., etc. Challenges are, we know this already, where will they stay during the summer, housing issues. Another challenge is how do we coordinate that? What would be my kind of partners in organizing this, me as a coordinator of the program, so in relation to the students. So those are challenges, but many opportunities. They could really help solve some of the identified issues.
Yes.
We discussed if we in the destination are united, then it's easier to have a dialogue. If destinations in the Baltic also are united, it may be easier to have a dialogue. But maybe this is a question we need to talk more about, I think.
So the main theme was the cruise tourism restriction, time, space, opportunities, question mark. We had a few sort of issues, and it's sad to be the one bringing up the sort of the bad news or the thinking of these kinds of things, but we do think there are certain or very strong time constraints, especially. And the time constraint means that the individuals of the cruise ships actually might be here for 4 or 5 hours, perhaps some more sometimes. But if you got 4 hours, if you enter here at 7 o'clock in the morning or ish, you don't really have a great opportunity to get them out on the island, literally for time constraint offers. And many of the things trying to suggest could we do, there are small things one can do to make it more effective to have the transportation so you don't have to have a lag time when you're waiting for the bus or the information. Perhaps you can have a pre-booking system where everything is much more effective from, you could rent a car from the boat and really know what's going on. So all these kinds of things are cutting corners because they are here for just a very limited time. They don't want to spend it waiting somewhere at the docks just to get somewhere else, right? They need to be hopping on and then off within 15 minutes. That's the only opportunity. For the 4 hours, it's kind of difficult. So the option we discussed further is, could we actually sell the location better for the next time? Many of these individuals are surprised by the beauty and the opportunities of Visby. They've never seen anything like this before. They've never heard of it. They wonder what has happened. So perhaps try to sell even stronger and better the return visit. Could they have a voucher? Could they have a discount? Could they have more information? Could they have a concierge they could call and get actually sort of better sale for the next one if they do it within 6 months? How can we sort of reach out to the individuals that are actually interested in this? Other things we discussed was, how can we keep the boats longer in the harbour? Because they're staying too short. Currently, if we understood it correctly, it is that the interest of doing so is limited because the pier is literally controlled by a company that has no economic return from keeping them longer or shorter. There's no way for us really to punish, sorry for using that kind of a word, dismiss that if you're on the other side. So they can't really, we can't really punish them to stay longer or have an increased fee if they're staying here too short. There might be opportunities in the inner harbour, but it's literally, we have to work on making it more attractive for the cruise ships to stay.
Okay, how to collaborate in sale and marketing together for against or for the tour operators. We discussed and talked about how local suppliers can, how to shape up in their presence in different social medias, because for a small company in the countryside, it's very difficult to have a direct contact to all the cruising operators. So I think it's about to be better in the presence in, for example, TripAdvisor, maybe Instagram and so on, and have a very smart and efficient and international website to attract the cruising tourist directly before they are coming to the destination. That's I think that's the best recipes for attracting and catch the tourists.
Question of the challenges of how to build up such internet platform, and we indeed discussed four interesting questions. That is, one, who is running this platform? Who should be that? Is that a private company or is that the public one? Then we discussed how to organize the content, how to get the players together. And then was the question how to build trust that the business partners put their booking and all of that on this platform, and that internet booking is accepted for everybody. And last but not least, it was what should be the focus of this platform. Is it just the cruise side tourists, or is it for all tourists, and so much more differentiated? And we learned a lot from Nicholas, from the background and from the last years what he already did, how to talk to the community, to the municipalities, to find someone who to do so. And we had one outcome, that is, the organizer of such a platform should be neutral. Should not only be from the public side or from the one of the private sector players, because then perhaps the tourists don't see that as a neutral platform, but as an advertising platform only for ferries or whatever. So it should be neutral. And the financing of the platform should be twofold. The building up of the platform should be best financed by the local community, the municipality here. But the running of the platform should be financed by the fees from all the businesses done on this platform. And that was one of the main things. And then we came to two main challenges, and that is communication between all the players, especially between all the businesses. And I learned from, from one of the from you, that all the players here are very stuck to their own business and do not care much about what the others do not form a community. Perhaps that has to be broken up to form a community and to be stronger together. And the last thing is money, because the municipalities do not have that much money, and how to build up such power to make them move and to finance this first step. Yeah.
It was about the most unique experience in Gotland, or why should I reschedule my return trip? So we started thinking, we looked about sheep, about candles, about honey, about churches, 63 churches. 69, I'm sorry.
93.
93.
Yeah,
but
you have it.
all of these things can be found in many other places. Eventually, we came across the fact that Ingmar Bergman has a residence on the northernmost island of Faroe.
Yes.
And for those who don't know movies, he was a very famous film director in the 1960s and 70s. And there are many interesting films that he shot on that location. And if I had a poster, it has very scenic landscape with rocks on the seaside and different kind of beaches, and so it is in fact a very unique place. So and in our event we also had several presentations talking about film tourism and film motivated tourism. So I think the first steps have been taken because there is already a museum. There are certain things that can be watched. And so a start is made. The challenge is the distance, the transportation, because it takes like one-way minimum at like an hour and a half or more to get there. So we had the unsustainable idea to bring the selected affluent tourists there by helicopter. Because it's a very scenic place, rocks in the seaside, individual houses, very romantic. So of course we would only put this idea forward if the tourists also agree to buy carbon offsets as part of this package. Yeah? So I think that was the main idea. I had some more later, but I think I don't want to overdo it.
So we discussed how to bring the countryside to Visby because of time restrictions. Often tourists cannot go to the countryside, but the manufacturers and farms and entrepreneurs in the countryside, they also need to profit from the cruise tourists. There was a souvenir shop at the cruise last year, but it didn't work, the concept, it's closed. No one really knows why. So we discussed mainly where could be another location, and we came up with the idea to use an old ferry terminal, which is on the way back to the cruise ship, so the people pass it, it's already existing infrastructure, and this could be used to offer reselling positions for the people on the countryside, because they're very busy during high season. They cannot come into town themselves, but someone could take over that reselling for them at that location.
The question was how to collaborate and develop the forest as an attraction. I mean, more than 50% of Gotland is forest. It's really a resource to do something of. And what we talked about in summary, challenges, we need infrastructure, access to the forest. That means trails, signs, picnic areas, toilets, those things that, to get people out. We need collaborations between tourist companies and forest owners. We have something called allemansrätten here in Sweden, so it's not just to go out and explore the nature. We have to have commercial agreements. And that is a challenge. Involve locals. I mean, make sure this is sustainable tourism, that we can work with people all over Gotland, not just the packaging here and go out in the nature and explore. Use the locals, and we have many examples here, or at least a few examples here in the room. Where you can offer everything from fika to guided tours to the knowledge of where those very special things are. So those unique things. We talked about some sort of communication platform. This has been discussed in other groups too, but I mean, it's not that easy to be a little small. You have to collaborate and get those platforms. We also said that use those that are already existing, if it's called Facebook or if it's called Gotland.com or whatever, but use what's already in place. We also talked about what the forest is actually. We had a lot of international students in my group discussing, and I think wherever you are in the world, the forest is so much something different. something different, a contrast to being out on the sea, contrast being in the town of Visby. It's a place, I got all these examples, it's where we go camping or maybe clamping, we do yoga, meditation, we do, there's also something to do, take out your family, for example, and we meet in the weekends, and we do picnic, and we do a lot of things. Zip line, I don't know what, maybe Torsbergen, we could do some zip line things, but there are lots of sports, outdoor things you could do out in the forest. And a lot, at least some said that a lot of, in the young generation, they want to be off. They want to be off-grid. They want to be off technology. So there is a pitch here for the forest.
But it was more or less said that public transports are not extremely efficient in the island. They are not very good for residents. They are not very good for tourists, and that's a big problem apparently. And it connects with the issues that were discussed when time limitations. Having good transport is of course essential to be efficient using the time of the visitors. Some constraints here. Mostly the public transport is based on buses, which are operated by only one company, and they have a limited number of buses. The normal routes are not good enough, and the special routes or the rented buses are also not enough to satisfy all the demand, at least in certain parts of the year. Then the new harbor, the new pier, could be an opportunity as a new facility, but it created also new obstacles. It's more far. There is a big distance between the boat and the city itself, and apparently there is a lot of opportunities not being explored to have a good platform for multimodal transportation, for information, for a welcome, nice welcoming to the visitors that is not being made in this new facility. Then some options that were raised apart from increasing the number of buses. There was a train apparently that was closed later. The tram, probably it's difficult, although the distances are not so big, but the density of the users is probably relatively low, so the investment in infrastructures is probably a bit difficult. Other options like rent-a-cars or even rental of small golf cars, those cars that people use in the golf courses, apparently are starting now. There is apparently a company starting this operation here soon, as far as I understood. So there is also some nice opportunities going on, and I would like only to stress that investing in sustainable forms or environmental friendly forms of transportation in a place like Visby is not only a matter of economic benefit and cost, but it's also a matter of promotion, because to promote a destination as a sustainable destination, it's important to show that there is a nice forest, there is a nice natural parks whatsoever, and also nice forms of mobility, environmental friendly, etc. So I would say that there are some opportunities for investment in this kind of services that can help to solve all the other problems that relate to the connection between the city and the countryside.
Stronger real dialogue between entrepreneurs and the region, with focusing the word real dialogue. The main issue is the lack of trust between the stakeholders, the local entrepreneurs and the representatives from the region. And then we start to dig a bit into this trust issue. And we saw that we were discussing if some aspects of trust then, it's important to realize the importance of existing and old networks, and it's important to use these old networks that exist. And it's very important to realize the need of and the importance of informal meetings. That personal contacts are extremely important, maybe more important in this island context than on other places. And we saw how should we then build trust? Some concrete ideas. More often invite to one-to-one consultancies between regional civil servants and local entrepreneurs to have a one-to-one dialogue. We also said that interpreters seems to be very important here. Locally based kind of interpreters who really can speak the civil servant language and the local language, so to say. And they should not even be from Visby. They should be from the local 92 church villages. And then the actual problem is that there is a feeling of too much strategy and not enough doing. So the question is, how can we focus the implementation obstacles more and strategy obstacles? Maybe we have a too high belief in strategies, and there is a lot of research saying that strategies are not that important actually to develop good results. It's to do the business and maybe deliver low-hanging fruits is important. Okay, there were some ideas about that.